Hello, world, and welcome to another podcast of It's Not You, It's Autoimmune with your host, Dr. Jocelyne Eberstein. Dr. Jocelyne Eberstein has over 25 years of experience as a doctor of Oriental medicine, medical acupuncture, and functional medicine practitioner. As a community, we are stronger and wiser. You got this, America, where good health is just a podcast away.
Hello, America, and welcome back to another episode of It's Not You, It's Autoimmune. I'm your host, Dr. Jocelyne Eberstein, founder of the E-Center. And the E-Center is a clinic that's committed to ending pain and suffering. And we're talking from chronic illness, from anything. And what we do is we use cutting edge technologies that are safe and natural. So that's exactly what we do. And I'm so excited because today's a very, very, very special episode because, again, we are talking about cancer. We've talked about it in the past. We talked about how you get it, how you don't get it, how if you do get it, what to expect, what to get, how you're going to get through it, and what to do at the end. Today, what we haven't talked about is really screening, cancer screening. What about that? So today I'm excited because we're going to be talking to Kamran. Kamran, and excuse me if I don't say your name right, it's Ayagh. Did I say it yet? Or Ayagh?
Yes.
Anyway, yes. He is an amazing man. This man has developed a cutting edge technology for cervical cancer screening, okay? He's a multi-talented entrepreneur. He is a champion for women's health and longevity for women. And he owns and runs natural clinics. What could be better? So he's developed an at-home pap smear test. Can you imagine? At home, thank God, right? And so I want to introduce Kamran. Kamran, welcome to our show. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I know, all the way from Georgia, right?
Yes, I'm very excited, and this is a great opportunity. Thank you.
This is such a huge deal, what you're rolling out here. And what I'm interested in, and what I'd like to share with the audience, is how did you get into this? Like, what's your background? Like, you're an entrepreneur. What's going on with the medicine piece? Like, what are you doing?
Well, actually, yes, I'm a mechanical engineer with integrated functional medicine as part of the 10 years clinic that I own here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're in a preventive medicine and anti-aging. So I had an interesting conversation with a doctor friend of mine. This is 2017. When he came in and he wasn't himself, I asked, "Doctor, what's going on? You look a little bit down." He mentioned that his wife is diagnosed with early stage of cervical cancer. Of course, I was very devastated, and I said, "Well, I'm so sorry to hear that." So, but the good news is she was, detected early, and there's treatment and cure for it. Having said that, I went home and talked to my wife, and I said, "Listen, you know what? I think you should be getting this done more routinely." And she said, "What do you know? The cervical cancer is very painful and awkward testing. That's called pap smear." I said, "Yes, I'm familiar with pap smear because I've been looking that up." And she says, "I'm not going to do it because last time I did it, it was very painful, awkward. I had a male doctor doing it that even made it worse. So no, thanks. I'm not doing it." And I was thinking that could be a lot, maybe there is a solution out there. And me being a problem solver at home and my clinic. So I started thinking that how could this be easier?
That is an amazing
Dr. Jocelyne,
story.
I'm sorry, real quick. Dr.
Yep.
Cam, your microphone is rubbing against your collar, so we're getting a lot of...
Okay.
So, yeah, if you could just move it forward or...
Let me see. Should I just maybe use one?
I can still hear it.
It's his collar, yeah.
Can I do it from behind?
Try to do it from behind. I just want to make sure because we want to be able to hear you.
No, then I don't have enough room. I had a How about moving it forward a little bit?
Yeah, try to move it forward just a little bit.
I'm going to hold it with my hand, so this way it's separated from my shirt.
Perfect.
Is this better?
Much better, yes.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Jocelyne, go when ready.
So the inspiration for this development of the test that was your friend whose wife got sick, and then was your wife getting Pap smears regularly?
Well, actually, I found out that it was many years ago that she did this in Canada. I mean, we moved on from Toronto to Atlanta 10 years ago, and it's been that long. So I was amazed to know that she hasn't had it done. But then she said that when she went for a physical a couple of years ago, she also had it done here in US. So it was, sigh of relief. But what I find out, women ages from 20 to 60 should be doing this annually or, more routinely. And again, I find out more and more about how painful and awkward this test is. And for a lot of people, it's not even accessible, pretty expensive. And many don't have insurance coverage. So they're avoiding it. They're not doing it.
So are most women in the United States, are they getting their annual, what the recommendation or what you always hear is, an annual Pap smear? Is that what's going on, or are people just ditching it?
No, unfortunately, many women are ditching it, and that's why the numbers are high. We're annually looking at 200,000 women are diagnosed with cervical cancer, but they're the ones that they have actually tested, and there was a pre-screening. And the number could be a lot bigger than this, and women are avoiding it.
And why do you, I was talking to my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is 87. Well, you're not supposed to get Pap smears. So after a certain age, are they saying just don't even bother?
Well, I've spoken to our medical advisor, lead advisor, Dr. O'Haran. She says, I don't want to goof around with the regulations or what they recommend. And I'm assuming it's all about money and economy. More people at older age, they're now these days active. They're having, partners, they're remarrying. So I'm not seeing that as a sort of an age limit or no, you shouldn't be getting it done. Because the gentleman that I mentioned, his wife is actually, when she was diagnosed, she was 72.
Wow.
He's 8.
Well, the other issue is any of our audience out there, if you're on bioidentical hormones, you are more of a reproductive age. So even though they kind of cut you off, say that they stop, you don't need to really have them after this age. If you're on hormones, you need to have them because probably you're much more youthful in your sexual activity and who you are. So it's really super important to get these screenings. But now what you invented was an at-home device.
Well, I call it self-testing. Yes.
Okay. Yes. And so can you explain the difference between, besides just that you're going into the doctor's office and it's going to hurt like hell, is it going to hurt like hell when you get home and do the same thing? Like what is the difference between
the procedure that Dr. Papanicolaou invented, it's about 65 years old. This procedure hasn't changed, and it requires a specialty examination table, and professionals to conduct the test.
Yes.
Using devices such as a speculum to enhance and open the vaginal canal area, the pelvic area. It can be very painful, and it's very awkward.
Not only painful, you bleed a lot of times from this. And these people don't care. I don't care if they're women doctors or men doctors, they kind of don't care. But what about, so is your test, is it accurate? Is it the same as when you go to the doctor? You would think that it was accurate. Who's processing these things? Like, how do you know if you're getting apples apples and apples.
Sure. The accuracy comes because cervical cancer testing, it's from a particular area. This particular area that, let's say, is the neck of your cervix that separates the vaginal canal with the cervix. That exocervix area is where you're supposed to be collecting the cells from.
Right.
The entire range of vaginal canal for women ages from 20 to 60, it's about 4 to 7 inches. But however, unlike the HPV testing, which is just a swab for secretion, it is an actual targeted area. So in order to see, that's why the pap smear or using the speculum allows the doctor to be able to reach and see that area, and making sure the swab doesn't touch either side of the vaginal canal. So my device, which is called Pap Easy, allows for you to be able to do the same exact procedure, but this time the eyes are not the eyes of the doctor and using an endoscopic camera. It's where you can see if you have reached the targeted area. So it's very similar, and we're using the same cytobrush to be able to collect the cells for later the pathology, which is basically examining under the microscope of the normal and abnormal cells.
Do you, would it be helpful to, Tony, can we put that YouTube video on so people can see exactly?
We can.
Let's play that video. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Every year, over 500,000 women worldwide are diagnosed with cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is caused by the easily screenable human papillomavirus, HPV, and with better early screening and treatment, global survival rates of 99% are possible. That's why we've developed Pap Easy, a revolutionary device that will change the way women and health professionals around the globe will perform the most prescribed cancer screening test in the world. Engineered by clinical professionals, the Pap Easy device is an OB/GYN's office in a box, designed for one-size-serves-all functionality. Pap Easy features a flexible testing wand, sterile return mailer, and connected app offering tips, support, and results from your Pap Easy HPV, cervical cancer, and STD screening test. Pap Easy, the future of cervical cancer screening. To learn more, visit www.papeasy.com.
That was lovely. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
Kamran, can you explain to women, because not everybody knows their internal anatomy, but could you explain to them exactly where the cervix is, like within the canal? I mean, what the anatomy is a little bit, so that they know what they would be going after?
Well, as I said, the cervical, the vaginal canal, that is range-wise between 4 to 7 inches, has a dividing, let's say, a wall that if you were to see cervix as an upside-down funnel, the neck of the funnel, or that hole, will be the division of the cervix and the vaginal canal area. So that targeted area is what you need to be collecting cells. Again, this is not a biopsy. This is like a proper cytobrush, touching gently the area for collecting the cells and the fluid from that particular area.
So exactly. So they take the device and it's got a camera. Now, how are they going to visualize that area? So they got the camera on there, but where do they see where they are?
As you've seen in the video, imagining two straws glued together, resembling the index finger and the other, middle finger to be put together. First of all, the the diameter of these two fingers, it makes it less painful because, as I said, it will be not more than 5 to 6 millimeters in diameter. This is a catheter assembly of double tubing. The top tubing is going to hold the typical brush that is used.
So is it like a tampon? Like you put it in like a tampon?
It's actually even thinner than tampon, but yes, the insertion will be the same. But what will happen is this, as I said, the double glue tubing, when it's inserted, I'm obviously using lubricants that it comes with the kit.
That's great.
Yes, this will be pushed through, and the brush that is in a upper tubing, it's protected because you don't want for that brush to be contaminated with the other fluids until it reaches the target. So it's actually capped, and later on that cap can be released for you to be able to collect the proper cells. The bottom section of this that actually helps it to flow through will be a very thin with the light and camera of an endoscopic camera, which is actually used, regularly now in, medical industry.
So they're viewing the stuff from the camera. Where are they viewing it?
In your tablet, in your hand, in your cell phone.
So it's cell phone.
So basically, instead of lying down on your back on a typical pap smear testing, your eyes are going to be up here instead of, watching to where you're.
That sounds amazing.
This is a wireless device that allows you, when gently, again, you're not traveling too far inside of that, vaginal area. So you will have a split screen that, machine learning or artificial intelligence, or let's say the augmented reality, allows you to see what that area is going to look like. So you already have an example. So when you have when you're pushing through this way, you're not pushing too far, you're not pushing too, it's going to maybe give you a signal that, hey, you have reached your target. Now gently release the lock on the brush and push it forward, turn it a few turns clockwise and gently pull it back through the same protective tubing that it's not allowing any other contamination. And the rest of it is just no different than you're breaking the brush that it snaps in half, leaving it in a preservative solution that gets shipped over to a pathology lab.
Now, there is some concern with over testing, like over puncturing a reproductive area, be it a breast, be it a cervix, because that is these cells tend to reproduce, and that too many punctures can actually cause a cancer to grow. So is this going to be the same kind? I mean, like when I know that I have tissue damage, when I get a pap smear and I'm bleeding, I've had some serious tissue damage down there. And so what is this device the same in terms of what it does, and in terms of tissue damage is what I want to ask.
Well, obviously Pap Easy hasn't been around, and that's why you have this concern. And as you mentioned earlier, when the doctors are trying to do this procedure, I shouldn't say they don't care, but that's how it's done.
That's how I feel.
Yes. Using the 65 years old procedure that hasn't changed, yes, I might agree that this is going to be very painful and it creates work. But when it becomes a lot easier to a point that you could be able to do this at home and at the privacy of your home, and as you said, it might not be any different than a tampon. So that would be eliminated. That would be at least reduced. And that would be more encouraging for you to be able to do this annually, because a lot of people avoid doing it as based on what you were saying.
So is this FDA approved?
Well, we are at the process of engineering designs, prototyping. So what I've done is, instead of, obviously the material used for the catheter, as far as the sensitivities, it's the medical grade tubing. So that's not going to be any, and it definitely is going to be selected from the FDA pre-approved products or raw material. Endoscopic camera has been used, and as we know, it exists. And I have selected a cytobrush that it would be ideal for this. The overall assembly and the software and the guidance will be something that it will be presented at the end. But we have a contracted medical device company that they will do end-to-end part of it. So we're going to be having a working device with the proof of concept. That will be the part that will be presented to FDA.
Well, I got to tell you, that's how acupuncture needles got approved. They said, well, a surgical blade is a surgical blade, so a needle is a needle. I mean, after going through all of this drama back in the, I think it was in the 80s, that's how the FDA approved it, not on the efficacy of acupuncture, but because, it's like a surgical device. Okay, good. So anyway, so we gathered the sample, and now what do we do? Like, who's analyzing? What do we do with this sample? We've done it all. And
it's no different than what is done. As you said earlier, when you start the podcast, you were saying is we've been talking about cancer, but we have not focused strongly on pre-screening and testing and preventing. So more testing and more data is done, and we have more results. Sending the collected specimen back to the laboratory and pathology, having the professionals to analyze and upload the information is no different. Of course, as a PAP-Easy company, we're going to have our own dedicated laboratory and professionals with team of medical doctors to be able to have the information ready for you. And it will be more focused on cervical cancer screening versus some other laboratories that you send all kinds of different specimens, and it takes a very long time for them to come back to you.
So we understand that people who live in the city and who live in the United States have a lot of medical access. What is going on globally with this particular cancer? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
As the second highest mortality rate among women after breast cancer, that unfortunately has been neglected, cervical cancer, it's been neglected as form of a type of a cancer with high mortality rates. 500 to 600,000 women annually are diagnosed with cervical cancer. And as our medical leader, Dr. Sarah O'Haran, says, that I can't be everywhere. So accessibility, it's limited. Having so many women in Africa, Asia, and other parts of the world that they're diagnosed. And these numbers are based on women that have been tested. Imagine so many women are dying from cervical cancer, nobody knows, and they have not been screened. So PAP-Easy as a device, that I call it as a self-testing device, is not just for you to test at home. The device itself allows testing that it does not require an examination bed, doesn't require a specialty office. So a nurse or a medical professional, trained medical professional, can be going in the middle of the villages in Africa, and it will be able to take specimen and bring back for further examination.
That's incredible. So in this country, would we need a doctor's order to be able to get this, or like? does that work?
Good question. I mean, I'm a clinic that we do food sensitivity testings, and we do various types of testing. So the kit comes in with a requisition form. So we have what is called a patient order, request, or the physician request. Of course, if these kits are available and have professionals trained, because it doesn't need to be limited to a gynecologist's office. As a matter of fact, the gynecologist could be using their nurse practitioner or the rest of the staffing to have them help with the volume and being able to conduct this. But any other doctor's offices, laboratory, offices that they can be offering this test, they are the ones that they have their own requisition forms. But if we're mailing this to your home, the PAP Easy gynecologists that they're on board, they will be having these requisitions pre-signed.
So
or pre-authorized.
So could conceivably a woman order the kit and then take it to her gynecologist, and then she could have it done there, and then
absolutely.
Now, so if you did it home, who would be getting the results? Is the patient getting the results, or do you have to have a doctor to interpret that? Like, how does that all work? How would that
both
work?
Options. We can have a platform that's in progress, that will be a portal that you're assigned to an account, so you can actually have an access to your final report that has been assessed. And now we could have a database of doctors that we can recommend to you, or based on your request or your provider's request, we could be giving accessibility to your doctor to upload and be able to upload your reports from the portal that has been given to them, accessibility to the portal.
Interesting. So if you didn't have a doctor, you couldn't get the results? Is that what I'm hearing? I'm a little confused.
Not necessarily, because as I said, you could be getting the results. Let's say you decide to do this just for the preventive measures and decide to do this every year. So you could be ordering this kit. As a matter of fact, if you're not, sure that you want to be doing this, we have what is called PAP Easy Home Care. So we could be sending a nurse to your home to collect your specimen and come back. But, if you're, computer savvy and, these days professional women, you could be doing this at home by uploading the video yourself. But that information comes back to our laboratory and results are uploaded. So now if there isn't any abnormalities or an issue, our laboratory will be reaching out to you and letting you know. It will be wise to, have a doctor to further examine your results. So we could be recommending doctors from our database, a doctor that is nearby you, or perhaps you will say, hey, listen, I have my own doctor, so-and-so. Would you be able to send the results to my doctor?
So I think if I were going to get some bad news, I think I would want to get it from my doctor, not just from a portal. Sure. That's kind of scary to me.
You're right. Yeah. So the professionals from our end will be also sharing the information with you.
Oh, okay. So that would be great, because looking at a piece of paper and seeing that a not great result would make me very unhappy. So what happens if somebody, so there's going to be completely positive people and people, are there equivocal results that are maybe results, like they call it equivocal, where they're not sure that something's there? What do you do in those kind of cases?
Well, those kind of cases, just like as it is now, is no different, So I deal with a lot of laboratories, and we have cases that you just mentioned, and re-examination or second, testing. We might be able to say, listen, you've done this at home, and if you're not sure, we can send our trained nurse to redo the testing for you, or perhaps if you're going to your doctor's office, we mail one to that doctor, so professionals can maybe redo this for you, and we re-examine.
Yeah. So now the recommendations from the whatever association of gynecological associations, they're now saying that we need to test both have a pap smear and an HPV concurrently. And then if you have it and it's negative for a certain amount of time, then you don't need to have it for like 3 or 5 years or something like that. So how are you going to be dealing, or Pap Easy going to be dealing with the HPV issue? And the recommendations from the gynecologist. What about the HPV piece? Because now they're even saying some people if you've tested negative for HPV for I don't know how many times, then you don't even need to get tested for the pap smear with a pap smear. So how do you deal with the HPV test? Are you going to be doing, do you have any? Is it coming down the pipeline that you can test for HPV? What is the story of?
But the beauty of the device right now, if you were to search cervical cancer self-testing, what you basically see is HPV testing. It's not the cervical cancer. And it's just a swab that it collects a secretion for further examination of a virus, but it's not the cells. So having the Pap Easy device reaching out that targeted area and collecting the cells, you're actually killing 3 birds with 1 stone. So you don't need to be doing any other testings. So you have STD covered, HPV covered, and cervical cancer. So if you're doing any, let's say, annual physical examination, you could have one of these kids that comes back with 3 testings all at done once. So instead of doing it separate. And if you are negative,
that's amazing. That's I'd rather do that.
Yes. You were talking about, overdoing the procedures. It's going to create damage. So we're trying to eliminate the number of times that you do the testing and bring it down to 1.
Wow, Cam, you've done an amazing job. What is the implication for a woman who's trying to conceive, or a woman who's trying to conceive? Should they be doing this? Like, when should they be doing this test?
Well, I'm not a gynecologist, but I have a talented group among our team of Pap smear that I had a previous conversation regarding what you just brought up. Most gynecologists don't see the difference, but what they want is, if by any chance, you're diagnosed with cervical cancer, which is very easily treatable and cured, they would rather be doing it when you're not pregnant. So all these testing should be prior
to trying to conceive.
Exactly. So then, you have an opportunity to be curing this before it's more difficult to do such treatments.
Wow. So Cam, you're a guy. We're women.
Yes, guilty as charged.
Tell me why. Tell me how you
Actually, I tell a lot of my friends, I think in previous life I used to be a woman. So, but again, going back to what my wife was telling me, and I have a daughter, I want to encourage her to be able to do this. And I've traveled abroad and I've seen third world countries that I always wanted to do something. And again, there's no gender differences when it comes to innovation. It's not man and woman. If you're saving lives, whatever gender you are, it's definitely welcome. So, this idea started, becoming like the light bulb turned on in my head. And I've been very determined and very excited. And I am blessed to have so many wonderful people now that join my team, mostly women, and that we're going forward. Yes,
Yeah. So really, it sounds like you're on a mission really to help, pre-screen and assess women before it's too late. And, the smaller you catch something and the more, the easier it is to treat. Same with breast cancer, same with all cancers. So this is a huge service. What about the men? Are you going to do anything for them? What are you thinking?
Well,
don't they have cancer?
I mean, the awful experience that we have gone through this year, and so based on pandemics and COVID, mass testing and preventive and immune boosting, it's been a major topic now that we have global awareness. Yeah. So I think it will be best to start, with cervical cancer as an example. And obviously this device can be modified for colon cancer and other, types of gynecological cancer. We're talking about cervix, we're talking about other things. So yes, next generations are coming up. And there are actually studies out there for a faster diagnosis. But if you're not testing, if you're not collecting a specimen, artificial intelligence now is thirsty for data. So we want to be able to provide more data for further education, trainings, and saving lives.
So do you think that in the future there's going to be, you talked about mobile medical procedures, and do you think this testing will be available, like, mass testing like they do the COVID, or, just in facilities like that where you don't even have to have your doctor and somebody's available to facilitate or to, provide for this testing? Is that a possibility?
Well, absolutely. The options with this particular device, this medical device or a gadget, it will be initially for obviously developed world that allows gynecologists to have more women to do the testing, will be more accessible to the other doctors, as I mentioned before. And in the same time, we could be doing a home care, you could be doing this at home, but going abroad, with World Health Organization, we're going to be joining forces and, going to all of these countries all over the world and having them trained for that, particular part of the world for them to be able to offer it. I hope I answer your question.
Yeah. Do you think, what is a turnaround time? So I say I did this at home and I send it in, or what is a turnaround time to get a result on this?
Well, you mail it in if you're doing this at home. Obviously doctors, some gynecologists, they even have the microscope at their own office. It will be instant because this is comparison of cells. So it's the abnormality of cells. But like let's say you did this at home and you send this specimen, it's the next, overnight delivery, and the laboratories normally take a couple of days to upload the results, especially these days with the technology. But having the Top Easy Lab group, we're going to be able to do this a lot faster.
That sounds amazing. So I wanted to thank you so much for coming on our show. You are amazing. You are you're on a mission, and I love your mission. I'm completely
I'm blessed.
Like saving life. Yes. And especially in this world of, when we're talking about, viruses, and so everything's a virus, everything's about viral. So, and immune system. And that's what we've been talking about on our show. But this is really revolutionary, you're genius, just saying.
Thank you.
And I wanted to thank you for coming on.
It is a great pleasure. It's a great pleasure.
Yes, thank you. Keep up the good work, and I hope you continue doing, and furthering this whole concept. So thank you, Kamran. This show, by the way, is made possible by the eCenter Wellness. It's a nationally recognized wellness show, and you can learn more about us at ecenterwellness.com, and you can get more of these downloads and more information on our Facebook, and follow us social media on ecenterwellness.com. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It is my pleasure.
Over and out, you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.